Okay, good afternoon all. Am I audible? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yes, sir. Thank you,
Good
Akashdeep.
afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Abhishek. So, just I'm summarizing whatever I have discussed so far till the last class. Then I'll start today's topic. So, already I have shared one class note, class material in the Google Classroom. I think all of you have gone through that. If you didn't go through that thing till now, so just go through that thing. So after this class gets over, I'll be sharing remaining two notes also. So I will be sharing the notes so far I have discussed in your class. So in the last class, I have actually discussed about the analytic function. So just I'm summarizing the topics which I have covered in the last class. Then I'll be starting today's topic. So analytic function is much broader concept compared to the differentiability of a function, because while we are considering the differentiability of a function, or while we are verifying whether a given function is differentiable or not at a given point, then we need to check it point wise. That means if a set is given to us and a function is given to us and we are asked to verify whether this given function is differentiable at each and every point in the given set, then it is very much tough for us to verify, because the first principle that we know that gives us the assurance of differentiability of a given function at a particular point. That's why if a set is given to us, we need to check the differentiability of the function point wise for each and every point which is there in the set. Then we can actually identify whether the function is differentiable in the entire set or not. But these things can be sorted out whenever we are considering the function of complex variable, because while we are considering function of complex variable, there is a concept of analytic function. What is the analytic function? So a function is analytic at a particular point. That means function is not only differentiable at that particular point, but we can construct a neighborhood around that point where the function is differentiable at each and every point in the neighborhood. So here we are not considering the differentiability only at a point, but if we know that the function is analytic, then we can actually provide the assurance that the function is differentiable in a huge set, that is actually centered at the given point where we are considering the function to be analytic, and then we can identify that function is differentiable at all these points inside the neighborhood. So we know that corresponding to a point, the neighborhood is not unique, so we can construct lots of neighborhood around a given point. So you can identify, we can construct a huge number of sets where the function is differentiable if I know that the function is analytic only at a point. So compared to this thing, the second one is more broader that I'm going to discuss, that I'm going to tell right now. That is the analytic function in a domain. So analytic function at a point means only around that, corresponding to that point, I can construct a neighborhood where the function is differentiable. But if I know that the function is analytic in a domain, that indicates that the function is analytic at each and every point in the domain. That means in a domain, lots of points are there. So if I pick any point, then corresponding to that point I can construct any arbitrary neighborhood where the function is differentiable. So here not only one point is there, but there are lots of points which is there in the domain. Corresponding to each and every point, we can actually identify a set, that is neighborhood of that point where the function is differentiable. Apart from these things, the third one is the most significant one, that is the entire function. That means whenever the function is analytic at any arbitrary point which we can pick from the argon plane. That means argon plane means collection of all complex numbers. So if I pick any complex number, so the function will be analytic. That means corresponding to any complex number, I can construct a neighborhood where the function is differentiable. That means the function is differentiable everywhere in the complex domain. So these three I have discussed in the last class. So today I am going to discuss how to check whether a given function is analytic or not, because you know that by first principle we can only check the differentiability of a function at a given point. But since here we are saying that the function is analytic at a given point, that means the function is differentiable in a neighborhood of a given point. So there must be some conditions, criteria based on which we can actually say whether the function is analytic or not. So how to check this? Just I am going to discuss right now. So let me share my screen first. Then I'll be. So I'll be sharing the class notes also PPT, but without sharing the PPT and discussing it, I think if I write it down, then it will be easier for you to understand. So that's why I'm writing it down. Then I'll be sharing the PPT in the Google Classroom. Then analytic function means I have already told what is the analytic function. Then another term is there, singular point. Singular point means if I give a arbitrary point z0 and if I take a arbitrary function fz, Either fz can be analytic at z0 or fz is not analytic at the point z0. So if fz is not analytic at z0, then this z0 is called as the singular point. So singular point means the points where a given function is not analytic is called a singular point. Okay. Now how to check whether a given function is analytic or not? So before that, just we need to know one equation that is called the Cauchy-Riemann equation or CR equation. So while we are considering a function of one real variable, let's say y equals to fx. So up to first order, number of dependent variable is 1, number of independent variable is 1. So up to first order, there is only one derivative, dy dx. That means the rate of change of the dependent variable with respect to the independent variable. Now while we are considering the function of two real variables, fx, y, you know that since there is one independent variable and two independent variables, so you can measure the rate of change of the dependent variable with respect to both the independent variables separately. So there are two partial derivatives, del z del x, del z del y. Now while we are considering the function of complex variable, say w equals to fz. So here w equals to u plus iv, because w and z both are complex numbers, so both should have real and imaginary part. So w equals to u plus iv, z equals to x plus iy. So you can write this in the form of uv equals to x comma y. So here the number of dependent variables are 2 and number of independent variables are also 2. So how many total derivatives will be getting here up to first order? Have you understood my question? Hmm? Have you got my question or not?
Yes, sir.
So how many total partial derivatives will be getting?
4.
Yeah, there will be 4 partial derivatives because here are number of independent variables are 2. So you can measure the rate of change of each dependent variable with respect to both the independent variables. So there will be 4 partial derivatives. Del u del x, again del u del y, del v del x, del v del y. So for a given function fz where w equals to this and z equals to this, if del u del x equals to del v del y and del u del y equals to minus del v del s, it is satisfied, then this is called as the Cauchy-Riemann equation or CR equation. That means if a function w equals to fz satisfies these equations, that means there will be total 4 partial derivatives corresponding to that given function. So if they satisfies this Cauchy-Riemann equation, then we say that the function satisfies actually Cauchy-Riemann equation. So just I am giving one example. So how to get these results from this, I am not going to discuss it elaborately. So if someone wants to know, so you can contact me or you can ask in the Google Classroom also. So just I am giving one example. Let equals to z square. So here we need to first segregate the real and imaginary part. So we'll be putting here z equals to x plus iy. So then if I use the property of y, I can get segregate it in the terms of, so this is uxy vx. So what is del u del x?
2x.
Del u del y
Minus 2y.
minus 2y. Del v del x
Del x is iota 2y.
not
Means
I
means
is
2y.
actually the imaginary part. Yeah,
Yes,
vxy
yes,
is
yes.
actually 2x. So
Yes,
2y
I got it.
and del v del y
2x.
del u del x equals to del v del y, and del v del x equals to minus del u del y. So it is satisfying the Cauchy-Riemann equation. Here it is satisfied. So the function fz equals to z square, we will say that the function satisfies the Cauchy-Riemann equation. Now if I give another function, say so this is one function, say that is u, that is v. So here del u del x is 2xy, del u del y is x square, del v del x is 12x square, del v del y is 0. So here it is not satisfying. Del u del x is not equals to del v, not equals to del v del y, and del v del x is not equals to minus del u del y. So here this function that is defined by u plus iv as the form of fz, it is not satisfying the Cauchy-Riemann equation. Is that clear? Is that clear or not?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now while we are going to discuss what is the condition to check whether a given function is analytic or not. So there is a theorem. So before I discuss this theorem, just I want to ask you whether you know this type of statement, that means necessary and sufficient condition. So while we provide the statement of a theorem, so in sometimes we use this statement, that means the necessary and sufficient condition to this thing, that these things will happen is this, like that. So have you heard the name of this necessary and sufficient condition? I know that in first year there was one theorem where you should have heard this. So do you know what is the necessary and sufficient condition? Have you heard this thing? Hmm? Have you heard, or you have heard it, but right now you have forgot? But and third one is you didn't hear this. So have you heard this, or should I tell once more with an example?
No, sir.
Okay. So just I want to give one example. Just roughly I'm saying what is the necessary and sufficient condition. Let's say there are two set of conditions. One is the condition A, and there is the condition A. Here A can be a single statement or a collection of conditions. Now whenever B is holding, if A is true, that means we are assuming that B is true. So assuming that B is true, if A is true, that is called as a sufficient condition. Similarly, whenever A is holding, that means by assuming A true, if we can show that B is also true, that is called as the necessary condition. Okay, so that means there are two kind of conditions. A is one condition, B is another condition. By assuming B is true, if we can prove that A is true, that is called as a sufficient condition. And by assuming that A is true, A is holding, if I can show that B is true, then it is called as the necessary condition. Okay. So just I want to give one example which you have studied earlier. So in the first semester you have studied the Rolle's theorem. Can anyone tell me what is the condition of Rolle's theorem? What is the statement of Rolle's theorem? Anyone? What is Rolle's theorem?
The functions should be continuous in the closed interval and differentiable in open intervals a and b.
Hmm.
And there was third, that is f of a is equal to f of b.
Yeah. Yes. So there are, we can, in that way we can identify two different conditions. One, so first it is given that f is a function from closed AB to R. So there are two set of conditions. One is f dash equals to 0. So f dash equals to 0 for some C belongs to open AB. This is the condition A, say. And another collection of conditions are, say, condition B. What is the conditions? Number one, if is continuous in closed AB, if is differentiable in open AB. Number 3, Fa equals to F. Now, by assuming these three conditions, F is continuous, F is differentiable, F equals to Fb, we know that this will hold. So it is a sufficient part. That means these conditions, these three conditions are sufficient. So apart from these three conditions, I can add some more extra conditions, but only these three conditions will cater our need. That means if I know that these three conditions is valid, conditions are valid, then by assuming that we can show that f dash c will be 0 for some c belongs to AB. So this is a sufficient part. That means this is a sufficient part. But if the reverse is also true, then we will be saying that the necessary condition is also satisfied. So is the reverse true always? That means whenever f dash is 0 for some c belongs to AB, will all these three be followed? Have you got my question? That means by assuming these three is valid, we can show that this will be true. But if this is true for some certain arbitrary c between AB, then will these three be valid always? Let's say this is true. Then will it imply that all these three will be valid?
No, sir.
No, because if f dash is 0, obviously since it is differentiable, so it will be differentiable, it will be continuous in closed AB, but this third condition may not be valid, because you know that if I draw a graph like that, so this thing, then it is differentiable. Say this is A, that is B. So it is differentiable everywhere, it is continuous everywhere, but FA is this length, FB is this length. So they are not equal, but there is a point C where f dash is 0. So f dash is equals to 0 for some certain C between AB, that doesn't imply that all these three will be valid. So that's why this Rolle's theorem is not a necessary condition, but this is a sufficient condition. Is that clear or not? What is a necessary
Yes.
and sufficient condition? Now it's clear to all?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now why we have discussed this? Because while we will discuss the condition of analytic function, or what are the criteria for a function to be analytic, then these things will be required. Necessary sufficient condition will be required. So here one such condition is fz is analytic, and here this is the A say, and another condition B will be there, or collection of conditions. So one condition is f is analytic. We need to show that f is analytic. So what are the conditions or criteria which are required sufficiently? So there are two conditions. Number one, fz must satisfy Cauchy-Riemann equation, that is del u del x del v del y and del u del y minus del v del x, where z equals to x plus iy and fz equals to v plus iv. And number two, all these four partial derivatives must be continuous. Must be continuous where? So must be continuous in a point or in the domain or in the entire complex plane where we are going to show that the function is analytic. So if these two conditions are satisfied, then fz will be analytic. So let's say fz is an arbitrary function. So for that arbitrary function, we need to verify these two conditions. If these two conditions are valid, then at once we can say that the function will be analytic. Similarly, the reverse thing here will also be valid. That means if fz is a function which is analytic, now obviously these two conditions will be followed. That means if this is analytic, then it will imply that fz must satisfy the Cauchy-Riemann equation and all the four partial derivatives are continuous. So out of these two conditions, if anyone is not valid, if any conditions out of these two conditions is not valid, then this will not be analytic. That means this is true but this is not true for a particular function fz, then it cannot be analytic. Similarly, if say this is true but this is not true, then it will not be analytic. So for fz to be analytic, both the conditions must be valid there simultaneously. So here this theorem is necessary as well as sufficient because both the things will be satisfied here. But for the Rolle's theorem it is sufficient but not necessary. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Now I have discussed how to get the derivative of a function fz at a point z0, that is fz z0, that is limit defined as limit z tends to z0 fz z minus z0. This is the first principle, you know. So in the same way we can actually find out the derivative of a complex valued function. So apart from these things, if I know that the function is analytic, so the derivative of a complex valued function f dash z can be defined as this, can be identified. So fz is actually u plus iv. So we can identify the derivative of fz with respect to z as the partial derivative of uv with respect to x, or the partial derivatives of uv with respect to y, that is in the terms of del u del x plus I del v del x. Or we know that since this is differentiable, so this will be analytic, so this will obviously satisfy the Cauchy-Riemann equation. So if I want to convert the partial derivatives in terms of y, then we know that del u del x will be equals to del v del y, and del v del x will be equals to minus del u del y. So the derivative of a complex valued function can be identified by this. Also this can be identified by the partial derivatives of the real and imaginary part in that form, either this or this. So how to get this result, just I am not discussing here. So if someone wants to know this, just you can contact me personally or you can ask in the Google Classroom. So you can remember the definition or derivative of the complex valued function, if it is analytic, can be identified with respect to the partial derivative in that form. Okay. Okay. Is that clear? Is that clear or not?
Yes.
Okay. Now I am
Yes.
going to show an example. Let's say fz1 function that is given at e to the power z. So we need to show that, need to check whether fz is analytic or not, and if analytic, we need to find f dashed z. So this is our problem. So the function arbitrarily given to us, so we need to verify whether it is satisfying the Cauchy-Riemann equation, sorry, whether it is analytic or not, and if analytic, then we need to find out the derivative, that is f dash z. Okay. হ্যালো, হ্যাঁ, ও আমি তো এখন একটু বাইরে আছি, আপনি একটু পরে আসতে, নাহলে আপনি গার্ডের কাছে রেখে দিয়ে। হুম কিন্তু আমি এখন ক্লাস নিচ্ছি, তাহলে দুটোর পরে শেষ হবে, দুটোর পরে করতে। হুম ঠিক আছে, ওই নিচে গার্ডের কাছে আর কি। Okay, sorry for disturbance. So just we need to show this. So have you understood what we need to show in the problem? Is the problem clear? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
So in order to show that this is in order to check whether it is analytic or not, we need to verify whether these two conditions which I have told earlier is valid or not. So first we need to identify the real and imaginary part of this function. So z is x plus iy. Over x, so we can break this in the form of Euler's theorem. So this is cos y plus I c, and e to the power x cos y plus I. So here uxy is sin y. Okay, so first we need to verify, we need to find out the 4 partial derivatives. After that we need to check whether all those 4 partial derivatives are continuous or not, and whether they are satisfying the Cauchy-Riemann equation or not. If we can show that both the conditions are verified, satisfied here, then we can say that the function is analytic function, otherwise it is not an analytic function. Okay, so first we need to find out 4 partial derivatives. What is del u del x? What is del u del x here?
e to the power x cos y.
To the power x, because cos y will be fixed, e to the power x will be differentiated with respect to x partial e to the power x. So del u del y minus e to the power x sin y, because e to the power x is
Yes.
constant with respect to y. So the derivative of cos y with respect to y partial will be minus sin y. Then del v del x is to the power x sin y, and del v del y will be to the power x cos. So there are 4 partial derivatives. This one. Now here we can first verify easily that del u del x equals to del v del y, and del u del y equals to minus del v del x. So obviously from here we can verify that it is satisfying the Cauchy-Riemann equation. So here no arbitrary particular point is mentioned. So here we need to show that it is an entire function, because for any arbitrary value of z it is analytic. We need to show that. So the first one is satisfied. Now we need to verify the second one, whether these 4 partial derivatives are continuous or not. Now you know that a function will be continuous if it is defined, because if a function is defined directly, then we can draw the graph without any problem. So that means it will be continuous. So a function, if it is defined directly at any arbitrary point, then obviously it will be continuous. So here all those partial derivatives are defined as this. So they are nothing but the product of exponential function and either cos function or sine function. So know that the exponential function is defined everywhere, as well as cos function and sine function are also defined everywhere. So their product will also be defined everywhere. So if you pick any arbitrary value of z, that means any arbitrary value of x and y, so this thing will be defined, this will be defined, this will be defined, this will be defined. So all those 4 are defined for any arbitrary value of x and y. So since they are defined directly for any arbitrary value of x and y, so obviously they will be continuous. Is that clear or not? Have you got this point?
Yes.
So here I can say that the function will be analytic. Easily we can say that the function is analytic, because both the conditions are satisfied here. Now since it is analytic, we need to find out the derivative. So you know that if z equals to e to the power z, the derivative of that will be e to the power z, if you verify by the first principle. Now just I want to cross verify the derivative of a complex valued function which I have defined earlier with respect to the partial derivatives. So you know that if I identify this derivative with respect to the partial derivatives in x, it will be del v del x. So del u del x will be to the power x cos y, and del v del x will be e to the power x sin. So this is e to the power z. So derivative of this is e to the power z. So here we can find out it directly. Here we can find out by using the partial derivatives. Okay. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now next problem. Then there is another problem. So that the function where z is not equals to 0 defined as this, and if z is 0, then functional value is 0. So satisfies the Cauchy-Riemann equation at origin, but f dash z doesn't exist there. That means what we need to show here. So here the point is mentioned, that means the point is origin, that means z equals to 0. So here we need to check whether this function is analytic or not at z equals to 0. So unlike the previous problem, here the point is mentioned. In the previous problem no point is mentioned, so that's why we have checked whether it is analytic or not for any arbitrary point. But here since the origin is mentioned, so we need to verify whether the function is analytic or not at origin. So here as per the given problem, we need to show that although it is satisfying the Cauchy-Riemann equation at origin, but this is not differentiable. So it is not differentiable means ultimately the function is not analytic at 0. So what can be the reason? So as per the problem, obviously it is satisfying the Cauchy-Riemann equation at origin. So the condition can be the second one, that means all the four partial derivatives are continuous, are not satisfied, because if both the conditions are satisfied, then obviously it will be analytic, so the function will be differentiable at the given point or around the given point. But since here, as per the given problem, we need to show that it is satisfying the Cauchy-Riemann equation at origin, but differentiable, it is not differentiable. So there is one possibility, that means although it is satisfying the Cauchy-Riemann equation at origin, but since all the four partial derivatives are not continuous at origin, so that's why it will not be differentiable. So how to show this? So if I segregate the real and imaginary part, so real part will be this and imaginary part will be this. So just me write it here. Here uxy is x cube minus y cube So first we need to find out the derivative. So here at origin, that is z equals to 0, we need to check whether it is satisfying the Cauchy-Riemann equation or not. So xy will be 0 0. So what is del u del x? That means the quotient rule you need to use, x square plus y square whole square. X square plus y square will be fixed. Derivative of numerator, that will be 3x square with respect to x, minus this will be fixed. Derivative of denominator with respect to x will be 2x. So here if you put x equals to 0 and y equals to 0, so you will be finding the form at 0 by 0. So if I want to identify the partial derivative by using the direct definition or a direct method and put x equals to 0 and y equals to 0, the function, the derivative will not be defined. So here, to show that it is satisfying the Cauchy-Riemann equation, we need to find out the derivative del u del x, del u del y, del v del x, del v del y, and we need to check whether they are satisfying the Cauchy-Riemann equation at origin or not. So by direct differentiation it is not possible. So I need to use the first principle of partial derivative. So what is the first principle of partial derivative? So if I want to identify the partial derivatives of u with respect to x at the point AB, then this definition will be limit h tends to 0 u a plus h b minus uab by h, because since we are doing the differentiation with respect to x partially at the point AB, so y coordinate will be kept fixed, x coordinate will be getting changed from a to a plus h. Similarly del u del y at the point AB will be limit k tends to 0. Here x coordinate will be fixed and y coordinate will be changed from b to b plus k. Similarly, we can find out del v del x, del v del y. Can you remember this? You have studied in first semester whenever you have studied the multivariable calculus. Is that clear?
Sir, can you repeat again once?
Which one? This one or previous one?
This one.
Okay. So since what I need to show, just I need to find out the partial derivatives of u, v with respect to x and y at origin. But directly it is not possible, because if I find out the directly partial derivative and put x, y and y equals to 0, then it will be 0 by 0 form. So I need to use the definition of partial derivatives to evaluate the value of del u del x, del u del y, del v del x, del v del y at origin. That means at x equals to 0 and y equals to 0. So just I am defining here what is the arbitrary definition of finding out the partial derivatives with respect to definition. So if I find out the derivative of u with respect to x partially at the given point AB, then the definition is like that. That means the y coordinate will be fixed and x coordinate will be changed from a to a plus h divided by change in x coordinate, that is h. So change in dependent variable by keeping y fixed is this, and change in independent variable is this. Similarly, if I find out the partial derivatives with respect to y, so change in dependent variable will be this by keeping x fixed, since I am finding out the partial derivatives with respect to y, divided by change in the independent variable y. So these are the definitions. Can you remember this?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So just we will be using it here. So del u del x will be limit x tends to 0, y coordinate will be fixed at 0, x coordinate will be changed from 0 to 0 plus x, since I am going to find out the partial derivatives at origin. So then ux0 means x is x and y is 0 here, so this will be x cube by x square, so this will be x, and u00 will be 0, since the functional value at 0 is defined as 0. So the real part of 0 is 0, imaginary part of 0 is 0. So this is 1. Similarly, if I find del u del y, so y coordinate will be changed from 0 to 0 plus y, x coordinate is fixed at 0. So this will be actually minus 1. Similarly, del v del x is 1, del v del y is 1. So here at origin, so del u del x is equals to del v del y, and del u del y equals to minus del v del x. So at origin it is satisfying the Cauchy-Riemann equation. But here the function is not differentiable at origin. Why this is happening? Because here you can find the partial derivatives. I have found out only del u del x. So similarly you can find del v del x, del v del y, del u del y, and put x equals to 0 and y equals to 0. You will find that at 0 these are not defined. So since the partial derivatives are not defined at origin, so they are not continuous, because if they are continuous, then they must be defined at the given point. But since all the four partial derivatives are not continuous, are not defined directly at 0 0, so there is no scope of their continuity. So here we can actually conclude that since this is satisfying the Cauchy-Riemann equation, but all the four partial derivatives are not defined or are not continuous, so that's why the derivative cannot exist at that given point. Is that clear or not?
Yes, sir.
Okay, just I want to cross verify that by using the definition. So what is f dash 0? So it is not differentiable at 0. So f dash 0 is actually, as per the first principle, limit z tends to 0 fz minus f0 by z. So fz is defined as this, f0 is 0 and z is x plus iy. So now I want to approach, if the limit of this quotient exists, then it will be differentiable at 0, otherwise it is not differentiable as per the definition. So here since we need to approach to the point 0 0, so we can approach along the path y equals to mx. So if you put here y equals to mx, so limiting value will be dependent on x only and y will be changed in terms of x. So if you put, and x cube will be cancelled out from numerator and denominator, and the limiting value will be this. So here the limiting value depends on the path. Since if I change the value of m, the path will be changed, so the limiting value will be changed. So that's why the limit of this quotient doesn't exist, so f dash 0 doesn't exist. So previously by using the necessary and sufficient condition, we have shown that the f dash 0 doesn't exist. So here also we have shown that f dash 0 cannot exist by using the first principle. Was it clear? Was it okay or not?
Yes, sir.
Oh. Okay, so today I have discussed up to this. So in the next class I will be discussing the harmonic function and other things. So just let me take your attendance manually first, then I'll be sharing the exam codes. Rule number 1,
Present, sir.
2,
Present, sir.
3, 4,
Present, sir.
5,
Present, sir.
6,
Yes, sir.
7,
Yes, sir.
8,
Present, sir.
9,
Yes, sir.
11, 11, 12,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
13,
Yes, sir.
14,
11
Present, sir.
15, 15, 16,
Present, sir.
17,
Present, sir.
18,
Present, sir.
19.
Present, sir.
So roll number 15, are you present? Just wait, I am sharing the exam codes.
Sir, roll number 11 present.
Okay, thank you. So here I have given the exam codes as well as the link. So just click the link and give your full enrollment ID and the exam codes and complete the test.
Sir, do you have any idea that those who have applied for the stream change when the result will come?
Sorry.
Sir, those who have applied for their stream change,
Yeah.
when the result will come, do you have any idea?
So that depends on the COE section actually, but it will the result will come soon by next week or before the first mid semester examination. It will be coming.
Because from Monday, Viva exam will be start.
I hope before that it will come out. So actually this depends on the COE section and
Okay.
controller of examination section actually and registration department also. So how many of you want to change the stream? Hmm?
Sir, actually, I am.
So where do you want to go?
Sir, I have applied for CS and IT, and CS, IoT, and IT.
CS, IoT and
IT.
right. Okay. I hope it will be coming out by next week, most probably.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay. So just finish the class test by 2:10. So thank you all for attending today's class. I am Levi.